Hello, and thanks for checking out the video. Today I've got a couple of days and a couple of nights in the woods actually, and I'm going to stick to a large forested area that I know, but I have got to head out of the woods on at least probably a couple of occasions. One of them is now. I'm just heading out to up and over the hills for a few miles because I spotted a spring on the OS map late last night, and we've had, for the last week, we've had horrendous heavy rain. So, you know, I'm figuring it'd be nice to check it out, and it should be easy to spot after all the wet weather we've had. The other reason that I may be heading out from the forest is perhaps tomorrow I might need to restock with water supplies, and it'd be ideal if I could charge up my power pack so that I can keep filming with the phone. So I might have to, unfortunately, head to a pub. Yeah, that's just the way it is sometimes. So the spring is positioned in an oasis of sort of game breeding, and all these woods are full of feeders and game and hunting chairs. So yeah, slightly disappointing really. I can't seem to spot the source of the spring itself amongst all this man-made landscaping, so I think it's probably best if I just head on out. as darkness falls, because the days are so short these days, yeah, we haven't got much time. Any filming will be on artificial light, I think, after this. But I'm just going to make a bread mix, a bannock, a damper bread mix. And although I'm doing my usual sort of default vegetable stew, I thought rather than potatoes, which are heavy to carry around, I'd bring some bannock mixture, and which is just self-raising flour. And I'm going to try and make some dumplings in the stew. Haven't done it for a very, very long time, and I think it didn't work out too well. But I think if you make up a bread mix, like a bannock mix or a campfire bread mix, you make it into small balls, you can actually cook it up in your stew. So we're going to try that anyway. I'm just going to rub some fat through it, because I think it just makes it a little bit lighter. I think it's just a bit easier to carry some small bag of flour around with you than perhaps a potato or two, you know, bouncing around the pack. Just add very small amounts of water at a time. You know, you can overdo the water. It's better to underdo it and sort of build up to it, if you know what I mean. Little bits at a time is good. And we're nearly there. In fact, we are there. You probably can't see that. But yeah, that's the sort of consistency that's easy to work with, whether you're putting it on a skewer or, in this particular case, crossing our fingers and dumping it in the stew. Here we go then. Onion. So I just softened down some onion, carrots and celery with some mixed herbs. Fried them down in coconut oil, and now we'll add water and then some dehydrated veg, which I always bring along with me. So we might need some more water in a minute, we'll see how it goes. Dehydrated veg, the usual. That's a bag of quinoa there actually, and I've got to keep half of this back for tomorrow night. Try and get some peas in there. The peas have all gone to the bottom. There we go. So we'll bring that up to a simmer, and those will rehydrate, those vegetables, and the soya chunks will rehydrate as well. And get that on. And then we'll start forming this dough into very small little balls. And we can waz them in when this thing starts to simmer, I think. Yeah, I don't know if that's small enough. Perhaps I should do them a bit smaller. It's come up to a gentle boil now, so I'm going to waz in the dough balls and hope for the best. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try and squeeze 5 in there. I suppose it's been boiling for about 10 minutes, and the dumplings actually look like dumplings. That's what you can call these things. So all the dehydrated stuff is rehydrated, so I'm going to waz in half a stock cube now. Oh, the smoke. Yeah, these sort of bannock bread dumplings are nice. You know, they taste like dumplings, strangely enough. Make a nice cup of tea and try and dry a few sticks out for tonight. It's actually a nice moon out there. More tea. Well, that was an average night, really. It was disturbed actually more with the smoke, and the wood was very damp, so it was a very smoky fire. And the wind was coming from directly behind the shelter, you know, which sounds all well and good, but it's better to have a crosswind on a shelter to keep the smoke away from the shelter, out of the shelter. When it comes directly from behind and stays directly from behind, it tends to billow around whatever shelter it is and form eddies, you know, like you get in a fast-flowing river, and it sort of draws the smoke into the shelter and billows it around a bit, really, you know. So and I normally just poke the back of the shelter towards the wind. It normally does the trick because the wind's normally shifting around in an arc anyway, so it tends to come across the fire most of the time, or some of the time, and keep the smoke out. And last night I think it was, you know, pretty much consistently blowing from behind the shelter, and it was a bit of a smoky night, really. In fact, I moved the fire 6 inches out from the entrance to the shelter, which improved things slightly. But, you know, I did that during the night. Yeah, apart from that, it was yeah, quite reasonable, really. Well, that was a nice leisurely pack up. I'm now just going to head to a water tap that I know of and hope that it's operational and hope that I can get some water. Of four footpaths. So I believe it's normally for a pop-up campsite, but hopefully the farmer, you know, he leaves it on a winter. Hopefully he doesn't mind hikers as they're coming through, topping up on their water. I'm just collecting a few sticks because I think I'm going to camp here tonight. It's a conifer plantation that I know. I've camped here before on numerous occasions. But unfortunately I've got to head off to the pub to try and get some charge into the power pack so that I can keep filming. And the days are so short in the UK now. Even though I'll leave the pub as soon as I can, obviously. By the time I get back here, daylight hours will be limited. So if I've got a few sticks ready, it gives me half a chance, you know. Obviously I'll get back from the pub as soon as possible. Down, down, down. Well, suitably refreshed, but not looking forward to the massive hill climb to get back up onto that ridge. I just hope the beer numbs the pain, to be honest. Oh God, I hope that celeriac burger doesn't reappear. unbelievably, I found my old shelter stakes here. I suppose possibly there could be somebody else's, but you know, they've been here a while. They're a bit worse for wear. Been here a long time, but yeah, I may as well reuse them if I can. Tonight it's curry and quinoa. and the same dehydrated veg as last night to bulk it out and provide a bit of greenery, because I haven't carried out much in the way of fresh vegetables. I knew I'd be doing a lot of hiking and I just didn't want to carry the weight, to be honest. Some carrot and celery. Coconut oil, because it's solid most of the time. It's nice and easy to carry. It does add an unusual flavour sometimes to the dishes. You might not like it. It's a great lip salve and, you know, substitute for Vaseline really. So it's kind of handy to have if you're striving for minimal gear. And this fire is really playing up tonight because everything's absolutely sopping wet. So I think I'm going to have to blow it back to life. Add in some garlic, nice and chunky. Get that back on. So we fried down the fresh vegetables. Let's add a bit of curry powder, if I can find it. I must label up these things. Here we go. So we'll add some water to it now, and then we can wazz in all the dehydrated veg. And also the quinoa as well, actually. So in this bag we should have a small bag of quinoa, and the rest of the dried vegetables. We may as well wazz them all in, I think. And the quinoa. I think a bit more water is required. We'll get a lid on that as well.
yeah, that was a pretty good night. It wasn't cold or anything. Yes, it was, you know, easy to sleep. The only thing was the smoke again. I tried to dry the sticks out by putting them beside the fire, but all the timber around here is so damp. Everything's so damp really, so it just made for a smoky fire. And again, I think the fickle wind was pushing the smoke into the shelter, so it was, you know, a bit uncomfortable at times. Yeah, but a good sleep really. I think I'm going to keep the fire a little bit further out when it's a warmer night. You know, I didn't need the fire as close in as this last night, and it just adds, especially when the sticks are very damp, it adds to the smoke. But of course, around here the trees are planted so close together, and they're very undulating ground. It's very difficult to find any tiny spot that's flat and reasonably big between the trees. So everything was forced together. Consequently, the fireplace was probably a little bit too far in. It didn't need to be that far in because it wasn't really a cold night.